The birth of an orphan. After receiving the letter, I could not take meals for 2 days, said Professor Nandakumar of IMX Institute of Management. After all the painstaking efforts to organize the first conference, when there was no infrastructure, this is what you get. I had to run around and be accountable for everything, from printing a brochure, getting delegates, look after the conduction of the conference, bother about getting payments, settling bills, forming professional body, and the director only asking questions and refusing permissions. Had it not been my good friends in project manager and chief administrative officer, the conference would not have materialized. And to cap it all, the director felt humiliated for something which to my recollection I had not done. Never again, I resolved in my mind, Dr. Nandakumar concluded. The genesis. The genesis of the conference was the first faculty development program. IMX was 10 years old and did not have any regular MDP infrastructure. It was operating with 18 seats classroom and 20 beds, stopgap boarding and lodging facilities in 10 small 2-bedroom houses for the purpose. Having come out of a major strike by faculty and staff against the director, in which Professor Nandakumar refused to be dragged by either side, Professor Prasad, the director, was all happy with going on with the PGP intake of 120 students. Sometimes, in August 1994, Professor Prasad was elected as Vice President of Association of Indian Management Schools. In April 1995, AIMS invited proposals under AIMS CCMS program, which provided grants for supporting research, faculty development programs, etc. The director asked Professor Nandakumar to give some proposal. The latter made a proposal for FDP on launching a strategic management course, and the program was conducted from January 22nd to 27th, 1996. The program had overwhelming response with 35 participants, more than half of them being readers, professors, head of department, chairman of PGP, etc. They had to be squeezed in facilities for 30 participants. Somehow, the participants liked the pedagogy of the program, and in the valedictory session asked for raising a low-cost platform wherein they could meet to update themselves through collegiate system of learning at least once in a year, even at their own expense. Professor Nandakumar, taken aback by such a request, contacted his PhD guide, Professor Ganesh, director of a leading management institute under MHRD, whether the latter could provide leadership to such an initiative. On his encouraging response, it was decided to forge a platform with Professor Ganesh as chairman and one participant of the program, Professor Vittal, as secretary. It was also decided to meet on January 27, 1997 in the first conference, exactly 1 year from the valedictory date. Another participant, a senior professor from BIBM, a leading management institute, offered to organize the first conference. Professor Vittal was to form and get the body registered as a society in Delhi. However, when Professor Ganesh contacted the director of BIBM Institute in August 1996, the latter regretted. He then explored the possibility in his institute also, but the infrastructure was already committed for some other events on those days. Dr. Ganesh also explored faculty support from the institute. The opportunity. Professor Prasad had also asked Professor Nandakumar to organize a conference-like annual conference of AIMS. In October 96, when Professor Nandakumar learned that even the second possibility may not materialize, it occurred to him that perhaps IMX has an opportunity to host the first conference. 20 years ago, in 1976, my teacher, Professor C.K. Prahlad, had mentioned that the professional advancement of the faculty members in each discipline, it is necessary to meet at least once in a year to exchange experiences, share their work, develop friendly relationship with faculty of other institutions for joint research and literature development, groom faculty, etc., said Professor Prasad. Since the suggestion had emerged from the participants of the faculty development program in January 1996, I thought perhaps the idea may take off for such a platform when the institute also expressed difficulty. I thought of doing it at IMX. I hope the director will wholeheartedly support it because he had asked for organizing a conference, but it turned out to be a nightmarish with number of arrangements to be made, solution to be given, clarification to be provided, denial of permissions and help, especially because as I was badly caught in my own heavy academic load of teaching, MDP, and literature development, besides administrative work of board and others, said Professor Nandakumar. Exploring the possibility. Professor Nandakumar sent a letter to the director on October 10, 1996, that there was a possibility of having the first annual conference of a strategic management forum at IMX. Enclosing draft of letter to the chairman of the forum, who was informally working as of now. On October 14, Monday, a note from director was received asking for expected number of delegates and how the arrangements will be made, as neither classrooms nor hostel would be available. He also wondered how boarding will be arranged. This made me think, said Professor Nandakumar, if this way the progress of campus construction continued, even next year increase in PGP intake may not take place as pointed out by him in a board meeting. See the case, the power of checklisting. His apprehension emanated from his association with project work as a member of the Campus Planning and Development Committee till few months back. Having seen completion of a 120-seater classroom in 25 days flat, when the PGP batch size was increased from 30 to over 100, Professor Nandakumar was convinced that construction could be expedited. He thought holding the conference may help in expediting completion of some buildings in time for having increased batch size, which had been held for 7 years already. The arrangements. On October 16, Professor Nandakumar replied how alternative arrangements can be made if the conference was to be organized. The director, however, was not convinced and felt that many ad hoc arrangements were being proposed and since Professor Nandakumar was very busy with his MDP, he should arrange a meeting of the director, PM, and CEO as per convenience of all concerned. See the hilarious part. He was being asked to arrange a meeting with all the people because he was very busy. Alongside the director's note, Professor Nandakumar also received a note from Chief Administrative Officer that the latter will be proceeding on leave from 18 to 27th October. Professor Nandakumar was very much peeved with this and replied that the administrative matter be sorted out at director's end and he be informed about the final decision. He also marked a copy to project manager and chief administrative officer. The replies of project manager and chief administrative officer were very encouraging. Professor Nandakumar had worked with them as member of the board and campus construction committee and was convinced that once these two persons put their heart, the institute could hold the conference. He forwarded their views to the director. Inching forward, on 11th November, Professor Nandakumar learned that the chairman, Professor Ganesh, had approved the proposal, but no formal letter had come to IMX director. Being reminded on 14, the chairman sent implied consent to Professor Nandakumar, but regretted that the faculty members will not be able to assume any responsibility. There was no confirmation from the faculty member of another institute to assume responsibility of another module. This meant that I had to assume responsibility of organizing all the 3 academic modules besides other arrangement, wondered Professor Nandakumar. Professor Nandakumar forwarded the facts to the director with the note that if the latter agreed to be the chairman of the organizing committee, he will be willing to go ahead, else close the chapter. The director sought clarification about the organizing secretary and financial responsibility. Professor Nandakumar agreed to be organizing secretary and explained that funding was to be done through registration fees. Finally, on Friday, 22nd November, Professor Nandakumar decided to close the chapter. Drafted a fax to be sent on 26th November. If by Monday, 25th November, the director did not decide the matter. The fax was addressed to Professor Ganesh that the conference is being called off. The setback. On 28th November, Professor Rao, secretary, inquired about the arrangements being made. Professor Nandakumar drafted a reply and forwarded for the director's approval so that the brochure for the conference could be released. Director agreed to it subject to certain conditions. He, however, did not agree to allow the registration fee to be received by the institute. This meant an account had to be opened in the name of forum itself. This required that a formal body is to be created fast. However, around mid of December, the secretary expressed his inability to get the forum registered as a society and asked Professor Nandakumar to do the same. My God, how to do that? Wondered Professor Nandakumar. Formation of the forum. Luckily, Professor Nandakumar had been secretary to the board and society of IMX few years back and had a copy of the society memorandum. He modified it to form a new society. Problem was how to get signature of chairman, Professor Ganesh. The latter advised to get in touch with the executive director of a public sector company on which Professor Nandakumar had done a case study, who was a common friend. The executive director agreed. The MD of another company for whom Professor Nandakumar had done a consulting agreed to be treasurer. Professor Nandakumar agreed to be secretary of the society. Some other faculty members of IMX and participants of the first FDP became other members to meet the requirement of society formation. The director of IMX refused to allow IMX for restored office address. He did not allow even his officer, who had necessary experience, to help in drafting and filing of the registration paper. Fortunately, Mr. Nand Kumar had a house in the city which was made registered office. Despite apprehensions, there were no difficulties created by the registrar office, and 2 weeks later, the forum was registered as a society just a week before the conference. The project manager extended full support to expedite the completion of dining hall, and just in time the door and windows were fitted. 30 rooms in the students' hostel were also completed on the day previous to commencement of the conference. The chief administrative officer also did his mite to help. The conference was attended by over 45 delegates from various management schools. A book by an author delegate on strategic management was released. The instructor manual of Professor Nand Kumar's casebook, published last year, requested by the participants of the first FDP, was also completed and released. Some directors and vice chancellors also attended the conference. On the last day, the election for new office bearers of the forum was held. Unfortunately, no one proposed the name of IMX director for any position. I refrained from doing it because I did not want to organize any other event desired by the director. One experience was more than enough, said Professor Nandakumar. Commenting on the letter by the director, Professor Nandakumar said, "It pained, but I was happy that now at least one PGP hostel and 60 rooms and the dining hall will be operational to ensure that the PGP intake is increased to 180, which was not happening for these 7 years. The experience of coinciding inauguration of a major event to expedite completion of a building was a great lesson which helped me in completing the construction work that was stuck in another institute when I joined there as director. Formation, a platform for annual interaction of faculty members in my discipline, a cherished dream for last 20 years, was also realized," said Professor Nandakumar. There were no further conferences in IMX until 2001, which I organized under the aegis of the forum again. But that's another story, smiled Professor Nandakumar. If it was possible to organize the conference, why director did not approve it in the first place? Why both of them were feeling hurt? Was it avoidable? Why no other conference was held for the next 4 years? Will the forum survive? Is there a role of orphans in the society? There are some questions that puzzled Dr. Nandakumar even after retirement.